Hi, everybody. This is Jason Marc Campbell, and welcome back to another one of our live streams as we come here from the Mindvalley community, wanting to share some amazing insights for all of you listeners. So thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining me. And for those of you who have come here for these live streams before, I'd love to know, is this the first time you attend? Is this the second time? How many chances have you had to come on our 9:30 Eastern time, which would be AM, 9:30 PM if you're coming in from Hong Kong, Singapore, Bali in my case, and whatever time zone you're at. So I'd love to know if this is your first time joining us live. I'd also like to know where you're from and what time it is right now. So as I said, it is 9:30 PM here in Bali, Indonesia. I get to do these lives every week where we pick a topic that we really want to be able to share some of the insights that we get the chance to have by going through various courses at Mindvalley, such as the quests. For those of you who are familiar with the quests, this is the way that we learn at Mindvalley. You're talking about daily actionable content with a huge community. And of course, when I do these live streams on YouTube, I do need to let you know that there's usually about a 20-second delay between what I'm saying and what you're writing. And so here I'm seeing a lot of people are just typing in. I see Aditya here is first time. We got Jolie. We got Carmel first time. We got Amanda. Oh my God, there's a lot of you here. Some people here. We got Manish. I think it's Mina. Mina's here for the third time. We got Diksha for the fourth time. My God, we have a lot of repeats here. So thank you so much. We have some people here from India. We have Morocco. We have Malaysia. And I'm seeing here more and more people, even from Georgia in the United States. Thank you, Carmen, for tuning in the fresh thing in the morning. I hope you have your cup of coffee. For those of you at different times of the day, maybe you have a tea, maybe you have other beverages. That's really your choice. But what we're going to do is really dig into some of these. They're really simple ideas. I mean, who here has had a bit of a roller coaster ride when it comes to 2020. I mean, I'm sure I'm not speaking to any new news when you keep seeing the things that are happening, let's say within the White House in America. You're seeing the coronavirus is going on. We're seeing two sides of the spectrum that are debating completely different opposite views. Most deadly virus ever existed versus something that's not a big deal. How do you get your facts? And it can feel overwhelming. And that's just to speak of one issue. We see some statistics around unemployment. Sometimes you see that, businesses are shifting and we need to shift within that economy as well. I've been doing a lot of studying and research in these times, and I'm a big fan of another YouTube channel. I'm going to give them a shout out here, In a Nutshell. It's a German word, so if there's any German here that can say in a nutshell, which I think is like Kurzgesagt. Anyways, amazing animation, science-based videos that I really enjoy. But I'm always trying to stay on top of what are the major shifts that are happening in the world. Now, myself, for those who don't know me, I am the host of Superhumans at Work podcast. This is the podcast where we bring ideas of personal growth for the professional field. Like, how do you bring all these ideas into the career? And I get to interview so many people when it comes to the future of work, productivity, what's happening with technology. And it seems to me like a lot of these things are happening at the same time. Like the world crisis, there's shifts in the way that we communicate, there's shifts in the way that we use energy. It's almost like a new whole industrial revolution is happening. And I've gotten a chance to interview a lot of people on the subject, which brings me to you and me. What I wanted to bring here is simple ideas in the midst of all of these information where you might have heard about technology, accelerating at an exponential rate. And as human beings in this biological state, how do we keep up with this? And what are simple ideas that you'll realize some of them are so simple, you might feel like they're too simple, but I'll challenge you to consider them strongly if you're having this sense of overwhelm and if you're feeling unclear on your goals. And the reason I really wanted to bring this conversation forward is just through conversations with people around me, I've noticed how many people are really having a bit of a struggle right now, feeling that there's so much noise, it's hard to get focused back on the goals. And I'm going to teach you some of the principles that I've learned in business that are very applicable in personal life. And maybe, just maybe, this last quarter of 2020, quarter being the last 3 months, we just started October, it's a beautiful time to actually hit the pause, set some direction, and see how can you make that a very powerful way to end the year. certain activity happening in early November, but how do you move beyond that and stay above that because you're very sure on the path that you're going on? So these are the things we're going to cover today. Thanks again for tuning in. If you are here live, couple things I want to announce. Number one, at the end of this video, we are going to have a Q&A. I'll come and check your questions, and we'll be doing this towards the end, so definitely tune in. And if you are tuning in live, we are going to have a prize giveaway towards the end of the session. So you definitely want to be here for that. It's going to be access to Mindvalley mentoring for 1 month. This is a suite of episodes by both interviews, Vishen Lakhiani, and amazing thought leaders around the world in ideas of personal growth, as well as myself, talking about mentoring at work or impact at work, where I get to interview people when it comes to the workplace. You'll get 1 month access to over 80 interviews, which is part of Mindvalley's offering Mindvalley mentorship. So definitely tune in for a chance to win that towards the end of this session. So a lot of people here, even from Houston, Texas. George Salas, thanks for tuning in. Ash, thanks for coming in. Loving dancing and singing all languages. We got Aisha here from, don't know where you're from, but it's your first time here. So if it is your first time here, even from Mexico, Carla, good to see you. Welcome. I want to get started. Here's the first thing that I want to talk about. This idea is, it comes with a lot of history for me because it was one of the first times I did coaching. And what ended up happening is I was in the process of building my very first business. This was back in 2010. As a Canadian, things were a little different than what was happening in America. And real estate was actually going through turmoil. And so I ended up wanting to start a business where I was buying US property, selling it with Canadians. I could go into more details of that story, but it goes beyond the point of the fact that when I started, I decided to get a coach, someone that could keep me accountable to my goals, someone that could give me kind of a feedback loop. I was very young at the time, and I really wanted that support. So what I ended up doing is starting off on this venture, an entrepreneurial venture. And for those of you who have become entrepreneurs, who have went into that path, you might realize that sometimes when you get started, there's a lot of things to do. And it seems like the deadline for a lot of these things is yesterday. And so a sense of overwhelm quickly can come across you, especially as you're in the middle of an industry that seems like a short time frame of an opportunity, a lot of different information's coming at you, and that sense of overwhelm can be paralyzing. It really brought me into a state where I just didn't know where to start because there were so many different things I needed to start with that I just wanted to get through the day by doing a lot of little tasks that, guess what? They weren't necessarily important, and they felt urgent. Everything felt urgent. Have you ever been in that situation where it just seems there's so many little things that you need to do in the workplace or maybe in your personal life that without a big plan, it seems like everything's urgent, but you just go out and just do things for the sake of doing, but realize that by the end of the day, you might not have moved the needle as much as you hoped for? This could be, checking emails all day, or maybe finding yourself needing to work on a specific project, but you find yourself you're maybe on social media too much. You seem to find yourself being drawn towards distractions, maybe procrastination. I know before the live stream, a lot of people were actually mentioning that procrastination is something that is in their lives. And so I'm really happy to see some people are relating. I see VJ, I see My Creative Vibe, I see Aditya. Yeah. I'm glad this is not just me because I wish I could be here as an amazing guru from Mindvalley telling you how I've figured it all out and my life is always in perfect flow and all my tasks always get completed on time. And quite frankly, that's not the case. I have amazing periods of high productivity and I also have times that I'm not so productive and I slip a little and I'm very compassionate with myself. And so the first thing I want to share with you is that 2020 has been a hard year. A lot of shifts have happened. And if you're coming in with this energy of guilt, shame, not enoughness, any fans of Marissa Peer? I am not enough. That's the big thought and message she shares in her Uncompromised Life Quest or her Rapid Transformational Hypnotherapy is how do we realize that everything that we always do is always enough? Like we're so hard on ourselves, and in that process of judging ourselves so hard, we actually make the situation worse. It's like we cut our foot on a day that we're not too productive, and we decide to throw salt on it and put our finger in it at the same time, making the pain double. Like it's like a natural reflex. And what I want to share as the first lesson is be compassionate with yourself and realize that every time you do anything is always your best. I mean, when you talk about the concepts of self-love, this I actually love from the Four Agreements. For any of you who have read the book, The Four Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz has amazing Toltec wisdom. One of the agreements, which is basically how we choose to spend this reality, our life, is to realize that there's only one strong action that we ever do, and it's our best. On our worst of days is still the best for that day, that you will always show up. Maybe that day is staying in bed. Maybe that day is just getting out of bed. Maybe some day is just spending some time with your family. And maybe some day is absolutely running a marathon or completing a ton of tasks. Whatever it is, our situations are all different. And whatever situation you are in, understand that you have to have some compassion, and your best is always what you're going to have. And so you can take that with a breath, just like, it's going to be okay. This is the first lesson I wanted to share, and I'm hoping it's coming not as new information, but just an important reminder. I'm seeing some people are thinking about, they are relating to this feeling. So VJ, I appreciate that. I see that here. Sahil is talking about procrastination is hard. It doesn't need to be. I'd be careful with the words. Maybe procrastination is a good thing. I'm going to go a bit of a tangent here, but maybe procrastination is just a good indication of timing. Maybe there's some more important things that need to be settled before that one task you keep to procrastinate on. I'm in the process of writing a book right now. For any of you who've written a book before, you can maybe tell me more. This is my first book, and I'm in the editing process, and there's some times I'm procrastinating. And what I find fascinating is through all these events that I procrastinate, I end up going to do a talk, maybe doing a video like this, connecting with somebody that gives me an extra story or an extra piece of information that I get to include in my book that I wouldn't have had if I would have rushed through it. And so I'm not always going to be against procrastination. Sometimes it does serve a purpose. But what if at this point, we've talked about wanting to be our best, and this is really what happens all the time. But what are some things that can kind of get in the way of yourself and that actually support a feeling of overwhelm? And this is where I want to go back to my coach. As I was starting as the entrepreneur, all the tasks needed to be done, and here I'm having a bit of a sense of overwhelm. And I get on a call with my coach. This is going to be really fun for those of you who are, I don't know where you are at home. So before I actually reveal the punchline, it's going to take 20 seconds. Where are you right now watching this? Are you in your office, at your desk at home? Are you on the mobile home? Are you in transit? What's your current situation right now? Like, where are you sitting? Like for myself, it's funny, I have a podcast studio upstairs, but I don't have a wire that's long enough to plug in to the internet. So I make sure that the connection is really strong. So I just before this moved my entire desk downstairs in my living room. I kind of like the background. It looks pretty nice. It's clean. Sound is okay. But I'm at my working desk and I'm set up. I wish I could take a picture of what I have in front. I have my monitor here, monitor there. I have the camera here, some lighting, microphone. And so this is the situation I'm here. So now I want to take a moment to look at what are people's situations. So I see some people are in their bed. A lot of you are in their bed. I have some people lying on the couch. So Naya, I see you. Some people at home. That's good. On the mobile, office at my desk. All right. Oh, this is great. So a lot of you are at home. A lot of you, some of you at work. I'm seeing a lot of people at bed. That's amazing. Lisa Park, I noticed that. Fatima's at home. And so here's what I want to bring. And if you're a student watching this, this is going to be just as applicable. If ever you feel like you have a lot of projects to do, exams are coming up. All right. When I felt all overwhelmed, right? This was what was crazy. I got to have a chat with my coach, and he's, so how are you feeling, Jason? Is the first question he asked. I was like, oh my God, there's so many things to do. There's so many projects I need to complete. I feel like I'm not moving forward. I'm not even sure where to start. And then he stopped me. He said, Jason, stop. I want you to tell me one thing, and I'm going to do the same thing to everybody here watching that might be having a sense of overwhelm. He said, can you describe to me your desk where you're working right now? And so for those of you watching, can you describe to me where you're working like right now, your environment where you decide to do the work when you're in work mode? If you're in bed right now, I don't want your bed to be your office. Even if it is, I would already flag that as a potential problem. But I'd want you to look at where you usually get your work done. And given the current situation with a lot of quarantine, maybe a lot of us are finding ourselves at home. And so with that, how would you describe the environment of your workplace? Now, you can take a moment here to share. And here's what I discovered when he asked me that question. I had post-it notes. I had some papers. I had some old receipts. I had my phone, some wires, and I'm seeing already some people realizing the exact same thing as I did. So Ling, Helij, I see messy, I see cluttered. I see some people being very neat and spacious and in a clean space. I see Ling all papers and stuff. Now, desk is super messy. Sage, by the way, thank you everybody for being so honest about it. It is a good community here. So everyone's nobody's going to pick on you for having a slip up. But here's what I bet I could say for those of you who are in a tidy space, I bet you already feel less overwhelmed than all of the people that are in a messy place. And here was the punchline from that conversation is that your environment is often a reflection of your inner state. And so if you step into an environment when you're feeling overwhelmed, it's almost like a chicken or an egg situation. Like what got messy first? Was it within you or was it your environment? But here's what I've noticed is every time I have a sense of overwhelm, if I take a moment to look at my desk and say, wow, look how much I've slipped up, stop doing work, take a moment to clean your desk, clean your environment, and then sit and realize what are the next things I need to do. This is a baseline small trick that I promise it's the same as the habit of making your bed every morning. That's the military secret. If any of you are fans of Jordan Peterson, he also speaks about how you should make your bed every morning. These are just little principles that reduce chaos in your life and that take away that overwhelm, that stop that messiness because it will continue to accumulate. It's just like doing the dishes. If you leave one thing in the sink, another thing piles on, and before you know it, chaos arrives and it feels overwhelming. When really you just need to take a step back 5 minutes and get the mess cleaned up. And I promise you, the feeling you have just after doing that is extremely amazing. Now, if you've taken action on this, I'd love to hear from you and see how helpful this was. So I'd love for you to take a picture of your before and after desk and feel free to send it to me. You can find me on Instagram. My name's Jason Marc Campbell. You can just call Jason Marc Campbell. If you find me on Instagram, send me a direct message of your before and after of your desk, and I'll be able to give you an additional course that's actually a 5-day training on how to be more productive while working from home. It's a free course I did with Mindvalley. Just send me a direct message and I'll make sure to give you the private link to get that. It was extremely useful for a lot of people at Mindvalley, and I know it's going to be very powerful for you. And so this is just a simple thing, but I promise that when you do that, it shifts your energy and reduces the overwhelm a little bit. And here's the other thing that I wanted to bring in. But before that, I want to take a moment, just see here. I'm still seeing a lot of people here about messy desk, and some people are asking for my name again. So my name, Jason Marc Campbell. I'm a host here at Mindvalley. For those of you who listen to Superhuman at Work podcast by Mindvalley, it's a podcast where I bring amazing people speaking about professional growth in the workplace. And it's all about concepts that we usually know in personal growth if you're a fan of Mindvalley, but we really want individuals and companies to embrace these ideas, because if you get people within a company to be more conscious, to embrace ideas of personal growth, it really levels up the consciousness of the businesses themselves, which really pushes the leverage around how much businesses can impact the world positively instead of negatively. And I'll talk more about that in my second point in this presentation, which is really what stops the overwhelm. And so for those who are on live, thank you so much. If you're watching this, a couple things I want to remind you is, number one, we are going to have a giveaway by the end of this, which is going to be access to Mindvalley mentoring for an entire month. So you do want to stick around for that. And we will have some Q&A right after this presentation. And the last thing I want to do before I continue this presentation, it lets you know that this entire presentation is actually sponsored by Mindvalley. And so if you don't have access to Mindvalley Quest All Access, I'm going to post a link in the chat right now. And there we go. When you see the link posted by Mindvalley, you'll actually see, or actually it was shared by me, you're actually going to get a chance to join a masterclass with Vishen Lakhiani, where he talks about the 3 ideas you can implement to have a life of continuous growth. The more you grow, the more you know, and the more you know, the more you can take a handle on your life, the more you can navigate challenges and grow at an exponential rate. And this is the beautiful part of being in personal growth. And so I really want to make sure that for anybody who's watching here who hasn't attended a Mindvalley masterclass yet, do click on the link in the description that allows you to join this masterclass. It's a very powerful one, 45 minutes with Vishen, where he's going to teach you these 3 top transformational ideas that when you implement this into your life, whether you join Mindvalley or not, is really going to keep you on top of growth and not be consuming the junk that poisons your mind like the news on a daily basis, but really focus on really powerful stuff. Now, for those of you who are joining also for more than one time, you would also hear me speak about Darren. Darren is actually the man in the background that would usually be doing all the bells and whistles, managing the chat, doing a lot of the tech stuff. And I have to say, Darren's actually unavailable for the coming month due to the crisis that's happening in Armenia and Azerbaijan. And I have so much struggle saying that country's word, but there's actually a war, there's some fighting that's happening, and he is from Armenia. So I just want to take a moment to acknowledge Darren and say thank you. If any of you want to send your wishes in the chat to Darren, he's actually out and supporting his country, supporting his family members, and I really hope the situation can de-escalate as fast as possible, and definitely get informed on that situation. It's a tragedy. It's definitely not a great scenario to be happening in the world right now, and I wish him the best. I want him to be able to do the best. And if you see a couple glitches happening in this live stream, it's because I have to do this all by myself now, given that he had to leave. And so do give me a bit of leeway here. So I see like Siddhant Rayandu doing a lot of repetitive posts, so I'd ask you to maybe stop that. With that, let's move on to the last point. So if you're liking this so far, give me a thumbs up, say keep going. We're going to go into another part. So I talked about get clarity on your goals. And there's a clue in that statement, because if you're feeling overwhelmed, it's usually the root cause is usually because there's a lack of clarity on your goals. Now, I'm going to use 2 spectrums to explain this, how we tackle dealing with overwhelm from 2 sides. One's going to be a little more scientific or psychologically backed. The other one's going to be a bit more spiritual. So let's start with spiritual. And I'd be curious to know who here on the live stream or watching the replay has ever heard of the chakra system. When you speak about the chakra system, when you start at the bottom chakras, it's usually the root chakra. It's a very worldly, earthy chakra. And that's things that compromise your safety. And it's interesting, it's actually one of the ones that receives the most energy from Gaia, from Mother Earth. And I'm not an expert on chakras, but here's what I love to make a parallel with it, is that when I see people are feeling overwhelmed, I often explain to them that this idea that the chakra, the first one being compromised, takes away your sense of safety, security. And that's why I want you to do that big step. It's a simple one, but it's a big one. Get yourself cleared up of the messiness on your desk. And if you want to go deeper, you can actually clear the messiness in your digital life, whether it's through your emails, through your tasks, your to-do list, but always taking time to declutter and take away the messiness is always going to be beneficial. Once again, if you want to have a chance to join into a course, it's a free mini quest that I do with Mindvalley that actually helps you with that. Take a screenshot of your desk before, after, send it to me on Instagram. You can just find me. My name is Jason Marc Campbell. I'll make that appear on the screen really well, and you'll be able to find it right there. Here we go. And so you'll be able to find it there. And when you get a chance to send that to me, you'll see there's a lot of other things to help you declutter the rest of your digital life as well. It's really powerful. And this is where it takes care of the root chakra. You know, these things that come into our life, the dings, the pings, our environment that can cause us stress, and it triggers us, right? But if you go on the other side of the chakra system, this is your crown chakra. It's almost like the divine. It's the things that pull you up. And so at the bottom is the thing that you want to build a foundation, but at the top, it's things that pull you up into the divine. And this is where I see big goals act as what pulls you up. If you're feeling overwhelmed, it's often because you don't know what is the most important or not important thing to do, because you're not clear on the goal. So if you're not clear on the goal, how can you even decide if one thing is more important than the other? And this is where I want you to take a moment to have that clarity on your goals. Now, if you're not someone spiritual and you think the chakra system sounds too woo-woo, look at the other side, where I'm thinking of something like Maslow's pyramid of needs. If you ever heard of Maslow, he's talking about, physiological needs is the first needs that we take care of, all the way to self-actualization. And even beyond that is actualization of others, the we actualization. And so think about how your physiological needs are really being able to feel safe, have a good environment, have that calm, have a foundation to be able to even consider everything else. But the magic also happens when you take the time to have something great to aspire to pull you. And this is where powerful goals come into play. Now, this is an interesting one because I actually was in conversations with a lot of people recently that felt overwhelmed, that felt like, okay, maybe I was able to deal with this chaos in my life, like all these digital dings and my environment's clean, but I'm still lacking motivation. I'm lacking direction. And here's what I'd love to encourage you to do. When was the last time you took a step back and started realizing what's the impact I want to make with this life I have on earth? Now, this is a pretty big question, and I don't want you to get stuck on it, and I don't want you to see it for its weight that it could be perceived as. I'd want you to just simply see it as a decision to make and a question to ponder on. Take some time away and start asking, what would I leave this world better as? What would be something I feel I could leave better as I come on this earth and I spend my life here? This can be, I would love to make sure that I raise a family and my children be able to grow healthy and happy. This could be, I'd love to be able to give to this company that I work for, be able to do good with this company and really provide a great financial life for myself and those around me. Maybe you're someone that's gotten some burning desire, something you really want to change in the world, and you feel that you can do that through your work. And this usually will stem from some past experience that you might feel was wrong to you. And so I want to share one of my examples, and you'll see how this all makes sense. So for me, I've had an experience in the past where I got taken advantage of in business. Matter of fact is these people were very slick salespeople, and they really got me through a program where I ended up being really excited. I was lied to, and I ended up being this face for some infomercials across Canada because they put me in a studio, recorded my face before telling me that everything that I was hopeful about wasn't even true. I won't get into the details of that story, but what I will say is that now I have a passion to teach good companies and good people how to market and sell themselves in ethical ways, because I think if the good people learn to sell and market themselves effectively, they actually get to be the ones that win, that take market share, make an impact, and make the world a better place. I stepped back to get to that realization because I realized the biggest thing that I want is for businesses to care more. And this was through a retreat. I took a moment to step away and really get clear on that. And I said, how can I teach companies to care more? Because the more they care, they have so much power to make the world a better place. And when I got clear on that impact, that long term, I was like, I want businesses to care more. Then I actually was able to set goals against this grand vision. And so if you're feeling you have lack of clarity of your goal, we just started Q4. Which is a very powerful quarter in a year. Matter of fact, it leads up to Christmas, it leads up to the end of the year, and there's something powerful with deadlines. Deadlines accelerate our productivity. And so I'd be curious to know, how clear are you on your long-term goals? And if you are or are not, can you imagine how powerful it would be to give you the priority of what you need to do in the next 3 months if you knew what you wanted to create in the long term? What are the courses you need to learn? What is that new skill you need to develop? What's that other job you want to apply for? What's that business you want to start? What's these clients you want to bring in? But none of that matters if there's not some overarching high impact goal that's in play. Now, there might be some of you that are graduates of Lifebook, which is a powerful system we have here at Mindvalley that allows you to be able to set goals in 12 categories. But if you haven't done that, start with something as simple as the 3 most important questions. Testing, 1, 2, 1, 2. I think I might have had an error with the live stream here. Let's just see if I can get it back. Testing. I think we're back online. I think I lost everybody for a moment. So this is one of the issues that can happen. Okay, I'm seeing people are saying back online. Thank you. It's funny, just 5 minutes before coming on this live stream, my internet got cut here in Bali. And I was talking to the technicians, and apparently they were doing maintenance on the system. They promised me that we'd have a steady stream for the next hour. And so I'm glad that I'm back. We're going to go to the punchline. So thank you for sticking around. Let's get back into it. So what I was talking about is you need to have a high impact goal, something that actually allows you to stay connected and realize what is important. So my question to you would be, if you look 3 years from now, like, what is it you want to create? What is it you want to work on? And I've seen some of the comments, and of course they got a bit flooded with everybody saying come back online. But I see here is like Ash is talking about, quality time with your kids is so important, and I love to remember that. So being able to spend time with kids, it's super important. If nurturing family life and making sure that this is a goal that's so important to you that you want to make sure you're nurturing that family, then what are the things that you can do this quarter, in the next 3 months, that can really help you be better at parenting? I'll give you a tip. Have a look at the conscious parenting quest with Dr. Shefali that we have here at Mindvalley. It's such a powerful quest. And for those of you who might not have all access yet, for $5.99 a year, you can have access to every single one of Mindvalley's quests. Make sure you go to mindvalley.com/all access, and you'll be able to see the incredible offer that we do so that people can learn at an affordable rate for only $5.99 a year. You get every single quest at Mindvalley to be able to nurture your progress in personal growth, and conscious parenting is one of them. So I want to go back here and see, I see here, I plan to start a business. I don't know how. I need to find clients already before registering the business. Vlad, here's an example of some goals that I'd love to use as an example that might be not anchored in the impact. See, a lot of times we get told you need to start a business, and we get obsessed with the intricacies of it. Like, oh yeah, I need to start a business. But the real question is, why do you want to start a business? Like, what's the difference you want to make? Is it just financial impact for yourself? And I'll give you a clue when it comes to success in business. And this is stuff that I'm writing about, so I'm very passionate about. Is you can set goals for yourself. Like maybe you want financial abundance. Maybe you want to be able to take care of your family. But I've noticed that the bigger you decide to take a slice of humanity, like the more humans you decide to consider in the impact you want to make in the world, the more financial abundance seems to come your way. I can only think of people like Elon Musk who say, hey, we want to make humanity an interplanetary species. That motivates him to create the car company that develops the batteries and the solar electricity and the rocket company and the touring. Like, not a lot of people spoke about this yet, but he started the boring company that does the underground tunnels. And I can only imagine that the reason he's doing that is because most of the transportation in Mars between the cities will need to be underground because the weather and the climate is going to be so harsh that it can't be above ground. And so I feel like the boring company exists simply because he knows he's going to need to develop infrastructure between cities on Mars. But I digress. What I mean to say is, what are the things you want to change in the world, and how can you include as many people as possible? Because a couple things will happen when you get clear on that, especially in the business world, is when you get clear that my duty here is to actually go out, and in my case, I want to teach businesses to care more. So if I'm pitching what I'm doing, I say, hey, I'm not just a person trying to do a course or writing a book on sales. I'm literally looking to change the way business fundamentally treats sales. I want them to do it from a place of love. And to do so, I want to create an association of enlightened salespeople that really care about the impact, the people that they sell to, the products that they sell, so that every time you work with these kinds of people, they're extremely enthusiastic and you know they're doing good in the world. This is what I'm excited about, and this is the kind of clarity that I can have once I've taken the time to get clear on that long term to make all of those short-term decisions easier. What happens when you do that is, instead of being in a sense of overwhelm because there's so many little things you can do, such as like register the business and do these things. It's funny, I was just in a conversation with somebody and they're saying, all right, so I'm setting a goal this quarter to get 3,000 people on my social media following. And then I was like, why? Why do you want 3,000 people on your following? And struggling, saying, well, I feel like social media is going to be important for people. And I said, social media is not going to be important if you get really clear on your message, because once you get really clear on your message, then you'll know what to talk about on social media, and you'll be able to work with other big people on social media that will want to hear somebody talking about a unique message. In her case, she speaks about how a lot of the biohacking methodology in the world is only tested on men. And so she's creating an entire company on how women can actually be included in the test, and the information is geared for women by women so that you can actually do the right optimizations in your lifestyle to have more energy, more productivity, etc. If you are interested in that, Viva Her is her page. It's incredible. Miriam's a great person. But here's an example of what happens when you get clear on the long term is a lot of the other things become not important. And the sense of overwhelm often comes because we think too many things are important when they're not. And so this is really the message I wanted to share with you, is if you want to make that last quarter, we have 3 months. Quarterly planning is powerful because we often overestimate what we can do in a month. But when you set a 3 month, you have a lot of things. You have a big project you can accomplish in 3 months. And so I'd be curious, if you know what you want to create in the next 3 years or 1 year, what could you do in the next 3 months to really move the needle in a powerful way? And that way you can also realize how many of the other things you worry about doing are actually distractions. They're not that important. They're not going to move the needle in as big a way as we think they are because they come across to us as urgent. When nothing is deemed more important than others, everything seems urgent. But there's always key things you can work on. What is the most important people I should meet to be able to move the needle? What is the important thing I need to get more clear on to move the needle? What is the single action I need to do? What is the thing I need to learn to be able to move forward? Maybe you're trying to get into a new career. What's the skill set? Maybe you're trying to gain more self-mastery. What do you need to grow in? And that's what gets really powerful. So I'm hoping that from you joining us here, you've gotten a little more clarity into how do you get these simple ideas to work with you to help with this overwhelm. The ideas were quite simple. Be in a tidy, clean space when you work. Because if you feel chaos in the mind, that's usually because there's chaos that will be reflected to you in your environment. And so you can always take a moment to change the environment, and it'll help change your inner state. It's a baby step, but it's a powerful one. And again, I asked of you to send me pictures of your desk if you made that change, and that'll be a really cool thing. I'll even be able to give you more content on how to maximize your productivity. But the second one is really about what's this productivity for if you don't have a clear goal. And it's funny because I used to bash on goals. I was not someone that enjoyed goal setting, but I found myself on a trajectory that was quite linear. And as I mentioned about the chakra system and Maslow's pyramid of needs, is when you have this powerful top energy, these powerful goals that are tied to impact, to planet, to big missions, then you'll see that your growth goes more exponential. And you start realizing that there's a lot of things that are not urgent, not important, which is what's going to filter through everything that makes you feel overwhelmed, and realize oftentimes there's only one thing that needs to be done. And so I'm hoping this has relieved a lot of anxiety, has relieved a lot of pressure, and is getting you excited about making the most of these 3 entire months we have until the end of 2020. I don't care what's going to happen in November, for those of you who are American particularly, because if you're clear on your path, you know you'll always be able to adjust to whatever circumstance comes. But you're going to be setting the path. You're not going to be reacting to the world around you. You're going to be proactive, and you're going to take actions ahead of waiting for the fires to burn. And that's the key to make some big leaps and not feel overwhelmed. Everybody has the same 24 hours in a day, but some people seem to be able to move just a little faster. And I want that for you as well. And so make sure you got the great environment so you don't feel that overwhelm coming from the everyday realities that come, and set some powerful goals. And if you're in the process of doing that, focus on one thing this quarter. 3 months is a powerful thing. What are you going to learn? Who are you going to meet? What you're going to build? That'll give you a powerful way to end 2020. Take ownership, take control, and that'll be really amazing. And so with that, I hope you've enjoyed this session. If you're here on the live stream, we're actually going to be giving away a prize. So I'm going to be revealing the secret code of the day. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I usually have somebody that works with me in doing these giveaways, but he actually had to step away. So I am actually trying to make sure I manage all of this by myself. So I'm going to do my absolute best. So if there are a few glitches, do apologize. I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be good on this. So I want to start a giveaway, and I believe you would have seen that it just started. Now, I need you to set one thing in place to be able to do that. And it's going to be able to use this code, which is !action. You only need to do it once. !action is how you get to enter your name into the draw to be able to access 1 month of Mindvalley mentorship for absolutely free. So make sure you use that. I want to make sure that people get to participate in this contest. So it's !action all together. I want to make sure it's working. As I mentioned, there's always a little delay. You only need to do it once, and we're going to make sure that, okay, I see it's working already. So it's !action. I'm seeing people just do it once. Once is enough. It doesn't do anything if you do it more than once. And I'm seeing the entries are coming in. So while we're doing the voting, I'm going to leave it open for a couple minutes here. I want to talk again with these episodes, these live streams, what we do at Mindvalley, it's always sponsored by our masterclasses. This is really where we get to teach for absolutely free, get you to be part of our community, learn more with Mindvalley. And I want to make sure that everybody who's here gets to experience what it's like to join a Mindvalley masterclass. If you haven't joined the one with Vishen Lakhiani talking about the 3 important ways to lead a life of transformation, I highly recommend to take that one action today, which is go into the description and find that link to the masterclass where you can register for free. You just need your name and email, and you'll be able to watch this. It's 45 minutes where he's going to teach you how is it that you can build a habit of growth, and why is it so important for you to be living an extraordinary life. This is what I talked about. One of the things that you might want to set this quarter is a growth goal, because maybe what stands between you and everything you want, whether it's in business, in your personal life, or in your job, is being able to master a specific skill. Maybe it's networking. Maybe it's emotional intelligence. Maybe it's parenting. Maybe it's just being able to learn how to be more productive. All of that is available through Mindvalley Quests, but also through so many other platforms. What I want to make sure you leave that masterclass with is the tools to make sure you are effective in the way that you learn. And so make sure you sign up to that masterclass. It supports these live streams, supports Mindvalley, and you'll get to learn a ton in the process. So the link is in the description. Make sure you click that. And now I'm seeing that a lot of entries have come in. I'm going to be closing the entry, and I'll be able to award that final prize. So once again, I'm going to come here and let's see, I got name and title. Oops. I want to be able to pick a winner. And so I'm doing this myself. We're going to close the entries really soon. I want to make sure I give that delay of 20 seconds for the people that are still sending in their !action. I'm seeing that it's really, really good. I think we got everybody here. So I'm closing the entries in 3, 2, 1. All right, the entries have been closed. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pick a winner. We're going to be ending the stream or for those of you watching the replay, this is going to be over right after. But for those who are watching live, I'm going to come back for questions. We're going to do a Q&A, which is going to be a lot of fun because I see there was a lot of chat. But because I'm talking, I couldn't look at the chat at the same time. I didn't have somebody sending me some prompts on what questions to answer. So I want to make sure I can answer those for you. So do stick around. And now, drum roll, we're going to pick the winner for today's live stream. And you are going to need to post your email into the chat so that I'm able to send you access. So make sure that when you post your email in the chat, you're only going to receive an email from @mindvalley.com that's going to give you the directions. And the winner is Camilla Olmos. Camilla, if you are here, make sure you post your email in the chat. I need to keep an eye on it to be able to award you this. So Camilla, congratulations. Everybody else, thank you for participating. Let's wish some congratulations to Camilla. Camilla Olmos is the one who just won the prize. If you're hearing me here, Camilla, make sure you type in the chat your email. I'm going to take a moment here. Like I said, there's about a 20-second delay. I have to make sure that Camilla gets a chance to hear me to collect her prize. If you're listening to this, you can send some clapping, some congratulations, and call out Camilla Olmos to be able to join. So I see now we've just caught up with the live stream and people are sending their congratulations. So there we go, Camilla. I do have your email captured here. Thank you so much. It was received, and I'm saving it so we make sure that we're going to send this prize in the near future. So thank you so much for participating. This was a lot of fun. If you've enjoyed this, I'm going to be here every Tuesday, 9:30 a.m. We're going to have a unique topic next week. We're going to have another prize to give away. And if you have any ideas of what topics you'd love for me to cover, make sure to leave a comment or send me a message directly on Instagram. I've mentioned that a few times. I'm going to put up my name as well so you see it. So the name is Jason Marc Campbell. If you go on Instagram, just look that up. Send me a direct message. Of course, I had a little giveaway as well. If you send me a picture of your desk before and after, if you've made that cleansiness, that cleaning up, send me the before and after. I'll send you a quick link to a course that can really help you with your productivity. But again, I'd love to know what topics you'd like me to cover next week. I often follow the schedule of what things we release at Mindvalley, but send me a direct message. I'd love to hear with you. I'd love to connect with you. This has been amazing. Thank you so much for joining. We're going to go ahead for a Q&A. So for those watching the replay, we always do a Q&A after this session, so you'll want to join live next time, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And for those of you who are live, stick around. We're going to be right back for some Q&A.